Welcome back to another episode of Life After Sunday. Mike, Marty, what's up, gentlemen?
What's up, man? Good to see you. I got my old friend Marty on the podcast here.
Friend for how many years?
We became friends in the police academy in 1999. We were friends like brothers for about. I had a 25-year career. This is roughly the same. Probably pretty just tight as could be for about 18 years.
Yeah, about 18.
And then that's kind of the object of the podcast. We're going to talk about the split. We didn't talk for years. And then his journey, his testimony is going to be
restoration, man.
It's going to be pretty awesome. And through that journey of his testimony is what kind of ended up bringing us together. And now the culmination is this podcast. And we just spent 4 days driving around the mountains of Arkansas, showing them all the beauty. Marty, what you think about Arkansas?
It's fantastic. I want to move here.
What was your favorite part? Like area or the favorite thing Mike took you to do? Or
Being in the mountains by the streams, that's what I like the best.
yeah. That's
That was
awesome.
a
I
good
took
time.
him to some running
Y'all go?
water. I took him down to the bottom of Dover Lights.
Okay.
And we had some good running water there. And then today, man, we were going up 7 toward Rotorrian. And we got up to the top of the mountains, and the trees were all glazed from freezing fog. I mean, picture right out of a magazine.
So that route y'all are on up 7, Pelser, and you turn off, go 16, 333, Augsburg Hill, and all that. That was when I was on the maintenance crew, that was my snow and ice route.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I actually turned a dump truck over just north of Rotary Ann between that pull off, look off, and Pelser, about halfway. Laid it down on its side.
He would send pictures, pitch black night, with a plow on the front of his truck driving through those mountains with roads that hadn't been touched yet, using a plow
Pretty
to
wicked.
blow the snow off. And I'm like,
It throws snow 50 feet high if it was nice and wet and stuff. At night it kind of get hard again, but in the day,
yeah, dude,
it blows snow pretty high.
that'd be kind of scary to me, man. Those roads are no joke with some ice on them.
It's bad stuff. Marty, we're glad to have you on. Excited to
having
hear
me.
your story and what God's done in your life. One question though, before we get into the weeds here, as Sean Ryan says.
Because we want to be like Sean.
We do. That's a fact.
Except when he interviewed the governor of California.
Yeah, and for like 4 hours.
I did not like that.
It was the slime from the California government or governors. Newsom, every time he talks, like I can just see the slime and his
just
evil.
oozing out of him.
Just coming out of him.
He makes my skin crawl.
Me
He really
too.
does.
Yeah,
Me
it's-
too.
So if you could tell 20-year-old Marty one thing, what would you tell him?
Oh my gosh, there'd be a lot of things I'd tell him.
The list is long. How much
It's
time do we
long.
Pick
have
one thing.
here?
I would probably tell him, pick the place where you want to live. Not where you want to retire, where you want to live for your whole life. Whether you like the mountains, you like the beach, whatever it is, find your job there, make your home there.
See,
That's good.
we talked about that because we both worked in places that paid us well, but the city, no offense to anybody listening, the city's just a rough city.
Houston folks.
and Pasadena is just not a very pretty place to work. And so as we look back on our careers, we're like, it kind of been better to actually work in a place that you like,
Yeah.
rather than just working there for money and then escaping to the suburb 15 miles away.
Right.
Right.
Let me speak on that from the flip side of that, because I've lived here my whole life. I don't know anything different except places we've been to, and going up 16 and 7, I can just take that while I'm at work,
Yeah.
go see a crew up there, whatever, But I think a lot of people from Arkansas, or like wherever you're from, you get accustomed to and almost like desensitized to the area in which you live.
You take it for granted.
Of 100%,
Sure.
1000%, man. Like people always that live here want to say, well, let's go on vacation to wherever outside of the state. I told my wife one time, I said, we shouldn't even leave our state until we've done everything
Until
you can
we've
do in the
explored it.
state.
Yes.
And that would take a long time.
Yeah. Let's go get a cabin overlooking a beautiful creek and just chill here.
Yeah.
And y'all do that a lot.
do that.
Y'all take good advantage of it.
But it's easy to. I could see if you lived at the beach or you lived in the mountains of Colorado in the Rockies or where, in the East Coast or wherever, to take for granted the beauty that's around you.
Well, and the flip side is us living down there in a crime, high crime area, we became numb to robberies, coming out in the cars up on their blocks. We became, murders. It just became normal. And it didn't flash to me that it wasn't normal till I came home and that stuff doesn't happen around here. And I'm like, wait, you get numb to the crime.
Sure, absolutely. It's just you become used to it, and it's part of life.
Yeah, desensitized.
You lock your doors during the day, even when you're home. You mow the yard with a gun on your hip.
Yeah.
Go to the mail with a gun on your hip because you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was an officer killed walking out from the grocery store, and they were cutting his catalytic converter off in like an HEB parking lot.
Yep.
He decided to engage, and he got smoked. I'm not trying to sound cold. That's just the way we refer to it.
Right.
People don't even lock their cars around here.
Yeah. And
That's
there were a couple times he's like, I'm going to leave my gun in the truck. And I'm like, you're good here. Let's leave it in the truck.
And let me tell you something. I do not ever do that, ever, even when I'm getting gas. But here I felt so comfortable. I just left it in the truck. Something
Kind of
I never
nice,
do.
isn't it?
It is nice. It really is.
Not saying that something couldn't happen here, but the chances are way
It's
way
low. I
down.
mean, it's all about the clientele that you're interacting with on a daily basis.
I think crime around here is when there is any, it's not not gangs and all that stuff.
No.
It's just
I've lived here for 2
little
years.
petty drugs and stuff like that.
I've seen one person I would consider a gang turd in 2 years. I was at the Christmas celebration in Russellville, and he barely registered for my radar.
He was like
Barely
on the line.
Yeah, and that's 2 full years of scanning.
Yeah,
I just don't see it. But did we have any more questions for Marty on the paper or plastic, chocolate or vanilla? Is there any more of those?
Do you like sports at all?
No.
I do watch baseball. I watch the Astros.
Awesome. MLB. Cool. Mike
Just started a couple years ago, so Mike wasn't aware of that.
when I came down to Houston, Mike took me and our other buddy to a game, Astros game. It was a blast. Really fun. So
Yeah.
Well, and he, when I first met him, sorry, I'm dealing with a little bit of illness making me cough, but he, it's not contagious. I'll tell everybody.
That's what he says.
But when I first met him, if you're old and you've seen the old movie Police Academy, like for the interruption, had to have a coughing fit. I've now recovered from said coughing fit. So when I met Marty, for those older than you, which is most of us, if you've watched the old Police Academy, there's a character called Tackleberry, and that's kind of what we used to call him originally because he was a gun fanatic, knew everything about him, just very knowledgeable of it. And now as he's gotten older and retired, you've gotten into some forging.
I have through church. I met a friend a couple of years ago who happens to be a police sergeant in the area, and that's what he does. He's been doing it part-time to supplement his income, and he taught me, so I dabble in it here and there, make some stuff here and there when I can, and kind of do that in my spare time.
Yeah, that's his. He's got a little forge in his garage. He can't do it for long periods of time. He's got some physical limitations, but he can do it in brief little spurts, and he's made me a beautiful axe.
Seen that axe.
Is it not sweet?
It's sweet.
So we're going to try to get one of his axes eventually, or some amazing thing
He makes.
creation. Even if he'll put some sort of his personal touch on it. We'll get it up there on the background, but it's pretty awesome.
Pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
We'll hook you up. We'll figure it out.
That's exciting. I'm ready.
You got to have a hobby, man, when you're, retired, or you got to have something to get your mind
Go
off
crazy.
things.
You don't.
That's a great one to have. But Marty is married. He's been married for
13 years.
There we go. Let's try that again.
We're not going to hash this out that we had to figure this out
Okay.
before we started the
Hey,
podcast.
so when
I
she,
didn't count on my fingers.
so when your wife's watching, you have to say quickly, how many years you been married?
Oh, 13, of
There we
course.
go.
Boom.
Boom. Hey, men walk around with that knowledge in their minds. Just on the tip.
Stamped.
Like right
You see
now,
how quick he spit that out?
for me, I'd be like, how long you been married? I'd be like, let's see, I was 98, so I have to
Mike,
do.
how long you been married?
I've been married. It's like 2025. I got to go 2025 plus 2 this December. It'll be 27 this December. But yeah, I failed completely. Total failure. But he's happily married. He lives down there in a suburb of Houston. He has been he's medically retired for some injuries he received during his career, which still cause him a lot of difficulty today. Even
Correct.
Marty coming to see me and riding in a car for 8 hours shows his love, because an 8-hour trip is not easy, and I thank him for coming, because this is the longest trip that you've taken
Since 2000,
it's been
2003,
yes,
Wow.
something like that.
because
Haven't been on an airplane since 2009.
the trips are difficult for
Right.
him on his neck and setting like that. But we want to get into his testimony today, so we'll spare everybody the gory details of our split. But I will say this, because I've talked about it before. When you work in law enforcement or the military, you can be very, very hard on your boys. You know, y'all joke
Yeah.
around on the construction
Oh, yeah.
crew and stuff. And we're pretty vicious on each other. And so we had a deal where our group of 4 guys from the academy, we went pretty hard on Marty. And then he was tired of it. I was part of it. And then Marty was dealing with, at that time, he was very angry, would you say?
I was having rage issues. I had in a period of, less than 10 years, probably 5 or 6, I lost my mom, then my dad, then my stepdad, then an aunt who I was taking care of, 2 of my dogs. It was just a really dark time for me at that time. Then we had the falling out. At the same time, I was in and out of the hospital with some major problems like pulmonary embolism, stuff like that. And so it was just an extremely dark time. And then we had our falling out, which just added to it, because these guys were my closest friends. They were everything to me, So just added to the darkness that had been building since 2006. I had a major head-on collision at work where I got a lot of my injuries from. And then things just kind of went downhill from there little by little.
And then you also got hurt. Didn't you get hurt doing the rad suit?
Right. So in 2006, I was going to a call. A guy was threatening to kill his girlfriend with a gun. I got hit head on, going about 60 miles an hour. Right after I took my seatbelt off, because I was about to turn the corner to get to the house. Flipped my seatbelt off. Cadillac hit me head on, came in my lane, hit me head on. They sued me in the city. Head went through the windshield. I ended up getting surgery in 2012 to fix my necks full of titanium and stuff like that. Almost a year to the day, in 2007, I got caught a pretty good whooping working in security in a nightclub, where I got beat over the head with a beer bottle, split my head, had to get staples. I got a beat down from about 6 or 7 dudes. That didn't help. Started having more neck problems. 2010, had a train accident during rad training. Thought I broke my neck. It was that bad. Ended up going to the hospital, all that kind of stuff. Then had the surgery in 2012.
So then not only, you got the split from the friends, plus the job was already just chewing his soul up.
Right. Yes.
The job's chewing his soul up. His health is declining from work. The profession is not providing him any support whatsoever, which is not uncommon in police departments.
Very similar to military.
Can be very similar. So that kind of all came to a head. So we're going to talk about Marty. And I didn't know this until he came up. how far I knew he was having a tough time, but how far down he actually went. So let's talk about kind of how you descended into the darkest point of your life.
Okay, so uh, after the wreck in 2006, uh, probably a couple years after that, I started getting real dark. I've always been kind of a ragey, angry kind of person, dealing with the stuff at work, not just on the street, but even from the upper echelon. I worked for a sergeant for 3 or 4 years, made my life absolute miserable.
And I can
right?
vouch for that.
Yes.
It's not an exaggeration.
Right. So, parents both slowly dying of cancer. One, hour and a half away on one side of town, the other one an hour away on the other side of town. I'm leaving work all the time, going to hospitals, taking them to hospitals for years, to the point where I had a nervous breakdown at one point. Still trying to work and hold my job down while trying to help my parents. Then as my mom was dying of cancer, my stepdad got sick. He ended up having a brain aneurysm, came out of it with severe dementia. And that just helped just drag me down. Then I was still dealing with everything at work. And during this time, I had that horrible sergeant I worked for that just made our lives absolute miserable, So I got real dark, and I was on patrol. Let's see, when did all this happen? I guess I started going to the hospital around 2015. Had an injury, tore my bicep. Had to get a bicep repair. I was on light duty for that.
That was after all your neck stuff.
After all the neck stuff.
Oh.
Not shortly after that, then I had tore my ACL at work. I got into a struggle, went down a stairwell, tore my ACL, had to have an ACL replacement. They put a cadaver ACL in my knee. While I was healing from that, started having heart problems. A couple months later, ended up having a stent placement in my heart. And I was off work even longer. And then I'm trying to think. Okay. So I was off work for a long time then. And then in 2019, no, it's 2019. It might have been 2017 when I had this heart stent after I was recovering from the knee. I was off work. Nobody ever called, checked, nothing. You need anything. I didn't hear from the police department. They finally, after months and months and months and months, chief found out that no one's heard from me. So he sent the suicide squad to my house, check on me, make sure I was okay. Just covering their bases. And then I get a letter saying if I'm not back to work by the end of the year, I'd be fired. And that was a giant kick in the nuts. After everything I've been through, I put my blood and tears out on that street. I did everything I could for everybody that I met, and I just couldn't believe they'd do that to me. So I went back light duty, and a month after that, they told me if I didn't come back from light duty by the end of the year, I'd be fired. At the same time, we had a guy that was on light duty for several years. He was just fine. So that added to my darkness, my rage, my hatred. I saw how other people got treated way different than me, and it made me angrier and angrier. And it started hurting my relationship with my buddies, because nobody wants to be around an angry, depressed person. I was depressed. I got diagnosed with depression, chronic PTSD, and the anxiety, and they put me on meds and stuff for that. Before the diagnosis, sorry, I'm jumping around. Good. This all was in a small, compact period of time, and it doesn't all lay out linearly in my head.
It sounds like after one thing would happen, it would get over, then you would just boom get hit again.
Yeah,
snowball. Years and years and
it's
years.
hard to keep track of everything in a row. So things got real dark, and I got extremely suicidal. I never understood when we dealt with people at work that were suicidal. I was like, man, it'll get better. Why would you want to do that? I finally understood it. You're laying in bed, and those thoughts are in your head, rolling through your head over and over and over, day after day. You're not getting sleep. You're thinking about it all the time, and you just get tired of it. Like, man, I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of everything. I'd get off work, and I wouldn't go home. I'd sit in my police car for a while behind a church, because I didn't want my wife to see the condition I was in. And you're ashamed, Right. You're supposed to be a tough guy. You're supposed to be able to handle everything, Nobody's ever told me different. So I got to be able to handle this. If I can't handle it, I'm weak, And it got so bad that one day I was like, you know what? I don't want to be that statistic. I'd planned the whole suicide and everything. And I just told myself one day I'm going to have enough. It might be tomorrow, it might be next week. I'm going to have enough. I'm going to end it. And one day I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a statistic. I want to fight, So I went and told my wife. They always say, tell somebody, right? So I told my wife. And she goes, well, how bad is it? I said, as bad as it can get. So we immediately sought help. Counselors, stuff like that, psychiatrists. That's when I got diagnosed, put me on medications and stuff. I was still struggling hard to the point where back then my wife could work from home or go in. So she'd go in the office a couple times a week, work from home a couple times a week. And I was so paranoid about dying because I was still having chest pain and other issues. I said in and out of the hospitals, getting my heart checked because I had so much chest pain. After I had the pulmonary embolism, they found out I had a blood clot disorder. So they put me on the blood thinners. And so I was afraid I was going to die. We've seen so many people at work die. Like we talked about the other day, sitting on a couch eating a bowl of cereal, and they die. On the toilet, they die,
Yeah, we see it, and it makes you hypochondriac.
Yeah.
That's without even major stuff happening.
Right. So I would ask her, I said, man, could you stay home from work today? Because I was afraid I was going to die behind a locked door. No one's going to know, And so started having money problems because I was on workman's comp. You get about 60% of your pay. Couldn't work any of my extra jobs, so work, no overtime, go. All of a sudden just get your pay cut to 60% and then get all your extra jobs cut out when you're used to that stuff. Right. So we were having money problems. I sold my Harley and, things just got worse and worse and worse. And long story short, I'd be up at night just in tears, that block of ice in your gut because you're so stressed and worried and, about my health and everything. The suicidal stuff was still driving me crazy. It didn't magically go away. We're going to talk about how it did go away. And so things reached a pinnacle when I was up for 3 nights in a row. Couldn't sleep, tears. What the hell am I going to do? I'm a mess. I can barely go to work and function. I'm not currently wasn't at work because I was on workers' comp again. And it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. And it just hit me. Something said, just go pick up your Bible. I didn't know where it was.
Is that 3 in the morning thing?
Yeah.
3 in the morning.
We're gonna do a podcast on that.
Yeah,
soon,
you should
very soon. Yeah. Anyway.
And when I say I haven't picked up my Bible in 15 years, believe that. I had to look for it, and I found it. I didn't know what to do. I was sitting in my bed. I was in my man cave. My wife was asleep, and I go in there and watch TV because I couldn't sleep, and I don't want to wake her up with the TV, right? And so I just, I'm just going to crack it open to whatever page. I split open the book, started reading. 20, 30 minutes, this overwhelming peace came over me that I hadn't felt. Couldn't tell you the last time. 20 years, I don't know. Overwhelming peace came over me. I just kept reading. Finally fell asleep, woke up the next day, and I just felt like a different person. I was like, I know what I got to do. At this time, my wife was going to church. I'd go once in a while, maybe 3 times a year. Okay. I just
CEO. CEO.
What's that?
Christian or Christmas, Easter only.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh.
And she would try to get me to go. I don't want to go.
Right.
I didn't want to be around people. I was just a mess, a wreck. We had our falling out, and that hit me really hard. I felt betrayed. I felt like my friends I was a burden to them. They decided just to cut bait and leave me, And in the hardest part of my life, my parents were gone, my friends were gone, so things were just difficult. So this, picking up reading that Bible kind of changed my trajectory from that point. And I wasn't fixed overnight.
What year was this when you opened the Bible?
This had to be 2017, 2018, when I was in and out of hospitals. It's all a blur. I don't know how many times I got transported to the hospital at that or went to myself. And I was on like I was, off burning sick time, or I was on workers' comp for a while, but it was right around in there. And so after reading the Bible and getting that peace, the next day I just felt like things were going to get better. And I had a huge financial problem. I'm not going to get into it. It's not important, but it was huge. And I did not know what I was going to do. I was at a loss. Like in a couple of days, I thought we were going to go bankrupt. And I prayed and prayed and prayed. 2 or 3 days later, money came in. It was fixed, just like that. Just like that. And so I started going to church. And I started going more, started reading my Bible more, going to the counselor, going to the psychiatrist, all that kind of stuff. And so we go to church one day. I drove to church by myself, parked on one side of the church. My wife and mother-in-law parked on the other side of the church, and I met them inside. I was in a bad mood that day. I didn't want to be there, but I went. And as soon as it was over, I left. Walked out to my truck. I'm out of here. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to go home. And my mother-in-law came out. She goes, "Hey, this man named Joe Ewing is here. He's a preacher that travels the world, goes to different churches. You might have heard him. I don't know if you have. I want you to meet him." It's like, I don't want to go back in there. I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't. And she goes, "Really, I really want you to come. Please come in." So I did it for her. And I was rolling my eyes. And we go, he was at the
screaming the whole way.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much had to drag me in. And I was like, "Well, I don't even know this guy. Why do I want to meet him?" My mother-in-law is Christian as it gets. She's a good, solid woman. She knew I was struggling. She wanted to help me. But I didn't understand what meeting this guy was going to do, right? So one of those people, as soon as you meet him, you feel like a charge coming from him. You're like, wow, that's a man of God right there. You can just feel it, Yeah. So we're walking up. He was kind of quartering away from me, talking to some people. Me and my wife, mother-in-law, walk up, and she goes, "Hey, Joe." He turns around, sees me, looks directly in my eyes. He goes, "God's got a new position for you." He didn't say, "Hi, how's it going?" He didn't look me up and down. He turned from the people he was talking to, saw me, looked me in the eye, ignored my mother-in-law and my wife, said, "God's got a new position for you." It was like a hit by lightning. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff in church before. I've seen people do the fake tongues and everything. You can tell when it's fake, I've always had some doubts in that. I had no doubts with that man.
When it's real like that, you know.
When it's real, I've seen someone speak in tongues real one time, and I knew.
Yeah.
She even translated herself after. She almost like she was in a trance.
Right.
So I was like, wow, holy cow, what's my new position? He didn't say what it was. We talked to him after that and,
right.
And everything. He never did elaborate on what he meant. I felt like he was just given that message to give to me. So
I think when something like that does happen, like for our listeners out there, I personally believe it's on you to seek out what that means and to move and take action in whatever, like what you were told. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
oh no, that's fine. But interrupt me if you need to. That's fine. I ramble sometimes. So I walked away going, wow, things are getting better. Little by little, going to church, reading the Bible, becoming strong in my faith was pulling me out of that darkness. The suicidal stuff eventually went away. Took a little time, but it went away. It's gone now. Doesn't even happen. Yeah, just completely gone. After the pulmonary embolism, I got put on blood thinners, heart medication, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, man, it's not good being on the street with blood thinners. I have bled heavily on the street at least 5 times. And then you get a head injury, which I've had. You get a head injury on blood thinners, it can kill you, So I tried to get off the street. I applied for financial crimes. I think I was the senior officer that applied. And I knew I wasn't going to get the job when they asked me, "What have you done to prepare for this job?" I've been a cop, 22 years. Does that count?
What more do you want?
Yeah. And they gave it to some guy who'd been there 3 or 4 years. So I was like, well, that's not the new position.
Yeah.
Marty's searching.
It's not the new position. Okay. I'm looking for it, you know.
Of course.
And then after the pulmonary embolism, I was in the hospital for a week. They had to get rid of the blood clot in my lungs, you know. And I went home a couple days later. I'm back in the hospital for 4 or 5 days. Bad chest pain. Had to go through all this stuff. And my doctor's like, you know, you need to retire. It's over for you. Like, I can't afford to retire. That's impossible. You know, at this time I was out of sick time, out of vacation time, you know, things had gotten that bad to where I burned all the time I had at work. And so I go see another doctor, orthopedic, real good one. He's actually the what's the name of the soccer team for Houston?
Oh, the Dynamo. Is it
he's
Dynamo?
I think so. Yeah, he's their doctor. And he goes, I wouldn't put a football player back to work in your condition, because I'm not putting you back to work. You need to find another, you need to retire. Went to a couple of other docs, same thing. No one's going to sign off on that, man. How do I do that? You know, I was 47, 48?
Was this at around 20 years for you?
21 Pasadena, 23 total is when I retired at 23 total. I worked for other agencies.
So your retirement check from Pasadena with 21 years is not going to be that big. It's not going to be
No.
enough to sustain.
It's not going to be enough to sustain.
You're making about 50% of your base salary on that.
Maybe.
I think that's what it is. I mean,
Really?
it's rough,
Yeah.
roughly.
It's rough. So I didn't know what to do. Of course, I prayed about it. Talked to my wife, and she says, your health is more important. We'll figure it out. And, you know, God's never let me down. My whole life, I've always had food, always had a home, always had clothes. You know, he's not going to drop me now in my time of need. So I went ahead and made the jump, retired. And then I find out that I can be on long-term disability through the city. Didn't know this. Okay. On top of that, my wife gets a huge promotion. Big jump in money.
All at the same time. You retired.
Pretty much about the same time.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, a big jump in pay, a big jump in yearly bonus. I was working a courtesy officer job where we got a free apartment at a 55 and up kind of retirement home place. And they let me keep the job as a retired officer as security there, which is unheard of.
It is.
So we had a place to stay. So I was like, where are we going to live? You know, we can't afford any place. Anyways, so within retired June, July of 2020, September of 2021, we bought a big house out in the country on some land within a year's time of losing my job. Now, I didn't see that coming. If someone told me when I retired, when I was stressing, you know, this is going to happen, there's no way. How is that going to happen? I just lost my job,
Oh, God.
you know? But God opened up everything. I went from losing what I thought was everything, my family, my friends, my job. What am I going to do? And he gave me a new life.
Position.
The new position. and I'm not 100% sure if this is the new position. I'm still keeping my eyes and ears open, and I'm trying to keep my eyes on the Lord. But I feel like that it is, you know. First couple of years, I was like, this can't last. I'm going to have to go back to work. They send me all the paperwork every year, fill out 3,000 reams of paperwork. Like I'm suddenly going to just magically get better, you know. And I've always been afraid they're going to take the disability and I'll have to go back to work. And, but no, it's 5 years now I've been retired, and it's been great. I got more involved in the church. I'm a life group leader now. Met some great people, new friends. And
What I love about your story is like, and it's so relatable to people and our listeners, is that there is that boom, instant change. But what doesn't, a lot of times we don't hear about the process that a lot of people have to go through. I went through, you went through, that you have to grind it out and you have to keep going and you have to do these things. be disciplined and all this stuff, and the changes come slowly.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's what I love. I love that,
Yeah.
man.
I think God brought me to rock bottom because I was lukewarm, go to church once in a while, didn't read my Bible. You know, me and Mike at work, we talk about the Bible and God and stuff, you know.
Talked a lot.
But, you know, in 20 years, I could count on probably 2 hands and 2 feet how many times I've been at church.
When the switch flipped, though, it flipped.
It flipped immediately overnight. And like I said, I wasn't perfectly better overnight, but it just flipped that switch, put me on a different trajectory. I was going here, and then it sent me off here.
So then you're back in church, but you're still not reconnected with your bros.
Correct. We're about 7 years we were not talking
Right.
at all.
Not a word.
Not a word.
Not a
Hi,
word.
bye, Merry
No.
Christmas,
One-
Happy
one of-
birthday, nothing.
One of our group maintained contact with him through it all. Craig, who's been on the show before.
yeah.
And so I would always ask Craig, "How's Marty doing?" Marty'd be like, "What are they doing?" You know, kind
He
of
was the middleman.
proxy thing. But
Yeah.
about 6 months ago when we kind of reconnected.
March, I think it was.
So March, and so tell us how that happened through your group, or how you ended up maybe going to a men's retreat of some sort.
Yeah. So my friend from church, he talked me into going to this men's retreat that he went to, that he now serves at. And it's twice a year. It's like 4 days. And at first, I got to admit, I didn't want to go. You know, I just didn't.
It's not our nature, man. We don't want to go hang around with a bunch of people we don't know and talk all sensitive.
Right.
Yeah.
I had no idea. It was the most wonderful experiences I've ever had.
Phenomenal.
He told me, he goes, I can't tell anything about it because they want it to be new and fresh for everybody. They want anybody to have an idea because there's so many surprises. They just blow you away.
That's really cool that they do that.
I wish I could tell you about it because it's super cool.
So if we could tell the story, it would blow your mind. So we have to make some of it vague, just in case somebody's watching this who could be going. They want them to have the fresh, life-changing experience as well. It's kind of like, I don't know, going to basic training. You know, it takes the surprise of it all when you go on YouTube and watch what's going to happen. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So they ask everybody, please do not give details to anybody.
Yeah.
So they have a fresh experience like you did. So I'm just going to say that during this deal, I had to come up with something that I had to give to God, put it out there, forgive and forget. I'm not going to tell the process, but it was a pretty cool process. And I came up with 3 names that I had to give to God, because I was hurt. I felt betrayed. I was angry this whole time, you know.
This guy was one of those names, right?
He was
Yes.
one of those names. And so that was my choice, and that's what I did in this process. And fast forward a day later, I get a letter from 2 of those names.
While you're at this,
While I'm at this men's retreat,
Okay.
I get 2 letters. They had no way of knowing what I was going through at this men's retreat.
Yeah.
Right? I had no way of knowing this was coming to me. And I opened this letter, and the first one I opened was from him. Say, man, I'm so glad you're back on track and you're at a men's retreat. You know, I'm sorry. You know, all that kind of stuff. And I cried. You know, I couldn't believe I was blown away. I opened up another letter. It's from my other friend. Has he been on here? Casey?
Yeah, Casey's been on
Okay.
there.
Same thing. I couldn't believe I was blown away. The guy next to me, he was a little older than me, but real wise dude. I really liked him. You know, he's from Germany, and I told him, I said, hey, I told him the story. He goes, God is great, man. God is great. I was blown,
phenomenal,
socks
man.
blown right off. That of all the things in my life, they said one thing to go through this process, and I said my one thing is 3 names. And then
Like you couldn't plan that. Like
No.
this isn't some hocus pocus stuff, because the process that allowed this to happen are separate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like these letters, only Marty knew what he was going to put in that event to let go of.
I didn't even know until the minute they said it that I was going to even be doing that.
Yes.
If I can't say this, I'll cut it out. We're not live or whatever. But
Oh.
you didn't have your phone. Am I correct?
They take your phones away from you.
Yeah, okay.
So for 4 days, I had no phone.
That,
wife-
that's huge.
If
In
your
this
your
story.
wife needs you, they have a number to contact. They'll get a hold of you. But you have no phone.
Yeah.
The whole 4 days.
Dude, it was so good. And Marty called me and we got to talking, and we both just said, hey, love you. It doesn't matter whether I think I did or did not do something to Marty.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if he's hurt, then I did something.
Yeah.
And it don't matter. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And he was the same way with me. He's like, sorry, I was ornery all the time, you know? And
Yeah.
we reconnected, and it's just like we never left. I mean, just hanging out with him over the past 4 days, it's amazing how close friends you can separate time. And when you come together, it's just the chemistry.
Right back where
It's
it was.
just right back where it is. We're both retired, and so we're able to call each other and just talk about the difficulties of life now. But that, man, maybe we'll just say it like this. I've never been a big men's retreat guy, but man, if you could know the story of how this went down, this will blow your mind. So if there's any guys out there and you're in a difficult spot and you're like Marty, I don't really want to go, whatever, just take the plunge, man, because Marty told me so much about this.
Yeah.
You can talk a little bit about how you were anti hanging out all day, but then as you did it, you know, and guys were sitting around talking, you were having coffee, how it was a very touching experience with total strangers.
Total strangers. They treat you like a brother. You know, they treat you like royalty, and they make you feel like, man, you know, there's a brotherhood out there. You know, we go to church every day with these guys, but we don't ever really connect really hard, but you do there. And my first night there, I'm laying in my bunk, and I'm like, what am I doing?
I can see you. I can so see Marty sitting there going, why did I do this?
Yes, I'm
Get
laying
me out
there.
of here.
I'm in a bunk with 4 other dudes, and I'm like, oh God, how can I sneak out of here? They took my keys. They got my phone.
Oh, that's great.
Trap me.
And by the next day, I was like, wow, this is, like I said, I can't talk about it because they want it to be a fresh experience for anybody else hasn't gone, but it is a mind-blowing experience. When my friend talked me into going, that's what got me. What was, I trust him just like I trust Mike. If Mike told me I need to go, I would go. And that's what Austin did for me. He said, you need to go. And so I did because I trusted him. And it was the right thing to do. It changed my trajectory again.
Dude, they just shattered your old stone heart and made that sucker soft as butter again,
You have
man.
no idea.
I mean, that's
No idea.
you know, since we managed to get through this without revealing any details.
Right.
Would you be comfortable sharing the name of it for if anybody else was out there might want to look into it? Would you be comfortable with that?
Yes, it's called Trace Diaz.
Okay.
Trace Diaz.
Look
3
it up
days.
online.
Is that in Houston?
It's all over.
Okay.
It's all over.
all over the country?
Trace
Yeah,
Diaz.
look them up online. It's
When Mike told me the story right after this, my mind was blown. I told Mike, I said, we got to go.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I said, like, we need
as
to
soon
go.
as he said we got to go, I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to go. I want to stay home in my bed. I won't be. They'll be around other guys. They'll be snoring and making noise. I won't sleep. You know. So I already got my excuse, just like Marty. You know, just got my excuse list long,
Ready.
ready to go.
that was me. Like I said, the only reason, God, right when he first started telling me, I was like, oh, I'm not going to want to go to this. I want to stay home. And I trust him. And he said, you need to go. So I
See,
said, by God, I'll go.
What were your feelings like when you started reading those letters from Mike and Casey and
I was in tears. I could not believe it. I could not believe I just came up with those names of all things in my life. I'm going to give this to God. I need to forgive and get over this, get over my anger and everything. And the next day,
Letters show up.
yeah,
Well,
from the same guys. Yeah, I mean,
that's
Well, if it wouldn't
God
have
thing.
happened like that,
this.
you said you wrote the names down or whatever, and it could have been different. It may have been a different experience for you if God hadn't worked it out exactly like that.
absolutely,
Yeah, he would have just, without the letters, he would have just let it go, and we still would never reconnect.
Exactly.
And it was funny. It was hard because when I went to write his letter, I prayed. I was like, guide me in these words. And then it hit me when, like, when you pray and then, kind of that God just gives you that thing. And I was like, I got this. Is going to be a home run. Because I started off and I was like, how do I do this? He's there on a journey with God. And we had this big rift between us. And it was so cool, man. It's like these words just flowed out onto the paper. And it was like, I love you. You're my brother. And I want to be your friend again. But if you don't want to be friends, that's okay. Because the most important thing is your walk with God. And I want to encourage you and stay with this. And when I came out and I read it, I'm like, that's God. That's God talking. Because the words, I am not a beautiful writer. When I got back and looked at it, I'm like, that's God talking. Because that flow is,
right.
And the key was to not be selfish.
Yeah.
Because friendship, I realized the proper order. My friendship was secondary to his walk.
Yeah. And
that ended up being what I tried to focus on. I'm like, go do this, but hey, on the side, I love you. I'm here for you. But if it's not there, that's fine. Just let's go on this journey.
Yeah. Amazing.
It's a wonderful God story. It does my heart so well to have my brother back in my life. He's a type A masculine. Look at him with his hair. I mean, he's a big masculine.
Hair is awesome, dude.
His hair is awesome,
Thank you
dude.
very much.
Marty's as manly as you can get, but on the inside, Marty has always been a sweet, sweet guy. As a matter of fact, early in my career, when I was a really hard ass, Marty was always the voice of softness. And that will be shocking to anybody who knows him. But when you're sitting side by side, cars talking about life, this man's got a great heart. Came and visited Gracie one time at the hospital, dropped her off, stuffed animal. One of the only ones who did that. He brought Gracie a little stuffed animal this time. He's got a killer heart. So we want to encourage you. Keep going. We talk on the phone all the time. I went down and saw you last time I was in Houston. So we're going to be friends all the way till we turn into dust.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It really is an incredible story, and that's why I wanted to bring you on to share your journey. Our goal here with this podcast is if we can help one guy.
Yeah, if you can help just one in the world, worth it. Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I know, not hopefully, I know your story will help somebody.
I hope so. And just anybody listening, man, don't give in to the voices. Don't give in to evil. It's not what God wants for you. I don't care what situation you're in, God will get you out of it. You have to have the utmost unshakable faith. And it may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow. It will happen at his time, but it will happen, And man, just hang in there and trust in Christ. And you can move mountains.
Fight the darkness. Marty and I talk about it. Sometimes the darkness tries to come back.
Sure.
We fight.
Yeah.
We fight the darkness. We've talked about it here.
Fight.
Spiritual warfare is real.
Absolutely.
100%,
and we're going to keep battling, and we're going to connect with other men out there. Because there's a guy out there somewhere who's going to run into this, and he's going to relate to your story.
Right. Absolutely.
And, I think it's in Psalms. It actually says the righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up. That's saying the righteous man keeps fighting.
Yeah.
It doesn't call the man that fell down and stayed down righteous man. Yeah. And so I say that a lot on here, and it's so true. And it's what we're talking about right now is you're going to fall down. You're going to make mistakes, but you got to get back up and keep fighting. Fight the darkness, man.
And we're not preaching Joel Osteen here that everything's going to be fairy tales and
No.
rainbows and sunshine, buddy.
No. Jesus never promised us everything's going to be easy. You know, the
Bible actually
servant
says it rains on the just and the
Right.
unjust alike.
and the servant is not greater than the master.
Mm-hmm.
This world crucified, tortured, and crucified Jesus Christ.
Right.
And us as servants are not greater than him.
Yeah.
Same stuff can happen to us.
Right.
You have to have unshakable faith. No matter what comes your way, you lose your house, everything, and you're homeless. As long as you have your faith, you have everything.
Yep.
You have everything. It'd be better to be homeless with your unshakable faith in Christ and be redeemed than to be the richest man in the world and not have Christ.
100%.
You know,
100%.
So true.
Awesome story. I love you, Marty.
I love you back.
Glad you're here, buddy.
I love you too, man. Got a new friend.
Hey, glad you came on the podcast. Glad to meet you. I heard a lot about you from Mike, and as soon as I heard the story, I was like,
We got to share this.
we need to share this, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
appreciate
And when
you
God
coming on.
moves, and if you know Marty, boy, God moving in this story is it's really supernatural. It's a beautiful
Absolutely.
story, and you know all of us because we're all stubborn, you know. So it's a beautiful story. So we'll send y'all out feeling good.
It's amazing how when God moves in your life, it's so far from what you think, how you think it should be, and but when I think he does that so you can't deny that it's
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
so
your
he
lo-
will ultimately get the glory.
yeah.
you
Your
know?
logical mind, when you start applying the logic, you sit back and apply the logic to it, and you're like, no, man, that's no accident, man.
No, there's no such thing as coincidence.
Right.
Right.
I don't think. I
don't
really
either.
don't think there is.
I don't know. I agree with you. Anything else?
No, you want me to pray us out? I'm scared. Listen, I'm scared to pray. I'm not, Chris is not a professional because that'll sound but he's a wonderful prayer out in public. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it.
So we have a thing on here. We always close in prayer. We kind of alternate. A lot of times when I ask Mike, he's like, "No, you do it. You do it."
I'm
I'm
scared.
very. You're stepping up to the plate and volunteering.
Volunteering because I got my boy here. My boy's gonna drive 8 hours. I can have the fortitude to pray us out.
Go.
So, dear Lord, we thank you so much. We just want to thank you for this podcast and for bringing Marty here today, and let his story help it find that man or that woman out there to be able to relate to his story to help bring them back to you. Thank you so much for our friendship. Thank you for staying with all three of us through our battles and journey as men, because it's a difficult journey. And we ask that you stick with us. We'll always have faith in you, and we're going to keep forging forward. Help us get back on that horse when we fall off, and keep Marty safe as he drives home. He's going to drive home tonight. Keep him safe, keep him awake, and just pray that you forgive us of our sins and just help us to continue to show the rest of the world the light of Jesus through our softened hearts as men. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.